it for Nathan Parish.
Chris,
Well, we're all sort of terrified of weird things, aren't we? Like, and the sort of weird things you're terrified of can say a lot about who you are as a person. You know? Like the normal stuff, getting hit by a car, everyone's scared of that shit. But me, I'm scared that I'm going to get bitten by something called the Lone Star tick, right? It can only be found in Texas. So far I'm keeping my distance pretty well. But it's only found in Texas. It's got a single star on its back, just like the flag of Texas itself. So far, big win for the Lone Star State. Except for the fact that when it bites you, it makes you allergic to red meat. In Texas, where beef is life. That is the most ironic joke that the universe has ever played, and it played it on Texas. But the thing is, if I got bitten by that tick, then I wouldn't be able to eat steak anymore. And if I can't eat steak anymore, then how can I declare war on my other weird fear, the bovine menace? Because I hate cows, alright? I fucking hate them. I think they're too big, too ugly, and too inquisitive for their own fucking good. And the only reason that they should be on this planet is to be killed for their delicious, delicious meat. And that's just the way I feel about it, right? I hate cows, therefore, I want to be able to eat steak, therefore, I don't want to be bitten by this particular tick. See, your fear tells you a lot about a person. Now, if you use it in the right way, it can also tell you what the person's into. For example, the Brazilian wandering spider. If it bites you, that can potentially kill you. But if you survive, you can also get a priapism, which is an erection that lasts so long it kills your dick and then you by extension. That is the most terrifying thing I've ever heard of. And yet, some people will hear that and think to themselves, how long until death exactly? Are we talking days or hours? Because if it's days, then I've got a lot of fucking to do, you know? And that's the thing, right? There's always someone going to take a vice a little bit too far, you know? Like, cock and bull torture exists. That's a fucking thing. Don't get me wrong, I'm okay with a little bit of masochism. Maybe you want your nipples tweaked, that's fine. But strapping your penis up in chains and whacking it with a stick multiple times seems like a bit much, just to me, you know? But I don't know. Maybe a priapism's like the ultimate form of cock and bull torture. Maybe fucking someone till it fills off sounds fantastic to these people. I don't know. I don't know. This is all new, by the way, so just feel it out, yeah? Yeah. No, I can't blame anyone for getting too far into the sex part of sex, drugs and rock and roll anyway, because ultimately I've got so far into the drugs and the rock and roll. I was in a band, did a lot of drugs, that's the way it usually works out. Mostly just weed and a little bit of cocaine and a little bit of MDMA. But I had to stop the cocaine because me and a friend at one point decided to have a party which basically consisted of me and him alone in his bedroom, snorting cocaine, shirtless, arm wrestling, chest bumping and listening to power metal. Now, at no point did it occur to us that this was the most homoerotic thing that had ever happened in the history of planet Earth. We thought we were awesome. We thought we were badass. And that is how Top Gun gets written, okay? MDMA, that was where I sort of topped out, I got to admit, because that's where shit starts getting trippy. At one point, I was talking to a friend, and I've got to be very clear about this. His head stayed exactly the same size, while his face started shrinking. And I don't know if you've ever had a conversation with someone as their face disappears into a vanishing point, but it kind of puts you off your drugs. You know? Another time, I was sort of so fucked up on MDMA, I was starting to pull static, like TV static, out of the air, and started making tiny little bits of doll furniture with it. Like a fucking psycho, right? But the thing is, if I showed it to someone else, they knew what kind of furniture it was. I'd go, what's that? It's a chair. For fuck's sake! That's fucked! You know? Chuck that away. Yeah. I can't help it. Yeah. the thing is, I think I took that as far as I could take that particular vice. Because there's some people out there who kind of have to take every vice as far as they possibly can. I've got a friend whose brother is one of those people, right? And at one point, my friend got back to his house to find his brother, and I'm going to have to act this out a little bit, right? I'll use this. On his hands and knees, so just imagine that, with his fingers dug into the earth in front of him, and he was swaying back and forth, and back and forth, and back and forth, like a rabid Stevie Wonder, okay? Anyway, my friend goes up to his brother and he goes, mate, what are you doing? To which he replies, I'm holding the earth still. You may laugh, but that guy saved our fucking lives. Okay, can you imagine how many people would have been flown off into space if he hadn't known what to do that day? If he hadn't been so fucked up that he could tell what he needed to do? That man is a drug-based superhero, okay? And yet some people would still judge me for my drug taking and for his drug taking, despite the fact he saved the world. Usually some self-important teetotaler wanker, you know, who's on the TV and he starts talking, hey kids, I just want you to know, okay, you don't need to take drugs, okay? I don't take drugs, I don't drink, I don't even do caffeine. All I do is the natural high of jumping out of a plane wearing nothing but a wingsuit. It's exhilarating. Mate, that's a fucking adrenaline problem. And don't pretend that's not a thing, because that's exactly a thing. An adrenaline problem is just as dangerous as anything else. You think it's expensive paying for someone's rehab, eventually that ends. One way or another, that ends, you know? Whilst if someone, I don't know, turns themselves into a quadriplegic by jumping into a cave and fucking their back up, they can't overdose on jumping into a cave anymore, can they? Because they're paralysed. They'd have to get someone to throw them in. It's ruthless, that's what I'm saying, it's ruthless. But anything can be a vice, you know? Gambling can be a vice, computer gaming can be a vice. Food definitely can be a vice. I was driving down the street the other day with a friend, right? And we saw this dude walking down the street. And he was very, very big, okay? Now, I'm not taking the piss, I'm not judging anyone for anything, okay? But he was a really big dude. And I'm fine with that, but my friend sees him and he goes, fucking hell, mate, would you look at that? And I could tell by the way he said it that he wasn't, like, impressed. You know? He was angered by this. And that sort of angered me in turn. And I looked at him and I said, you know what, mate? If anything, that's dedication. Right? I'm serious, right? I used to be that committed to my own enjoyment. I used to be that dedicated to flavour. I used to be a big fucking dude, and I've got the stretch marks to fucking prove it. So fuck the lot of you, alright? I used to eat 2 Domino's pizzas a night and still have enough room left over for 2 foot-long Subways. I was a fucking man! I used to eat like a king! And now look at me, right? I'm out of the game. I work out like an idiot so that I can look good for other people's sake, so they can look at me. Fuck them, they didn't care before. I eat hummus on purpose because I can't eat cheese anymore because apparently I'm allergic. And that's the reason why I fucking hate cows. Thanks very much, everyone. Good night.